It is an open secret that the Ukwangali community has experienced challenges from the time our Hompa Sintetupasi left us. May his soul continue resting in peace. The chieftainship has received challenges. Challenges in the sense that the current designated chief was coronated as chief of the Ukwangali community after the departure of our late Hompa. However, that recognition, that ascendance to the throne, was challenged by one faction of the Ukwangali royal family in the High Court of Namibia. And the High Court of Namibia had to decide, because the application before court was not on the issue of substantiveness of the chief, but the issue of procedural correctness of recognizing a chief or a Hompa for the Ukwangali. Given that decision, I came to Nkurenkuru for 2 days to come and personally listen, understand, dig deep for me to appreciate, before I could make a decision, before I could take action, as to what was actually the challenge. And then establishing as to what was the correct procedure of identifying, nominating, and designation of a person as a leader or as a Hompa for the Ukwangali tribe or community. I was presented with a procedure. What was the procedure and what is the procedure? As left for us today by those that started establishing the tradition, custom, and the culture of the Ukwangali. I listened to Tate Joseph here, Kanjimi, who narrated the first Hompa as of 1750 for the Ukwangali. The question comes, during that time, did we have a modern court based on the Roman Dutch law to guide our selection of a chief? The answer is no. Then I wanted to know what was the procedure, putting aside the High Court procedures. What was the procedure and what is the procedure? One, the reigning chief, who is on the throne, while still alive, will nominate a candidate to succeed him or her. That's the first step. And that nomination is exposed or explained to the royal family, who have got two functions to do: to reject the nominated candidate or to accept the candidate. In this case, Siwombe was nominated, presented to the royal family, which accepted him. Second step is, if the nominated candidate is rejected by the royal family can now request the reigning Hompa to nominate another candidate. In this case, there was no alternative candidate nominated because there was some agreement on the nominated candidate in the name of Siwombe Kudumo. The royal family had accepted the nomination and endorsed it. The third step is, if the royal family does not agree on one candidate or on the candidate that is nominated, in case the chief dies before nominating a successor, that responsibility falls over the shoulder squarely of the royal family to nominate a candidate. In this case, the royal family did not have to do that because the candidate was already identified and accepted. Therefore, where there is a disagreement among the members of the royal family, that matter is escalated to the Masimbis to help the royal family in identifying the candidate. In this case, since there was no disagreement, there was no role to be played by the Masimbi. The Masimbi just had to accept what the royal family had presented. However, unfortunately, some of the Masimbis are found wanting and don't deserve to be Masimbis. So on this score, I will plead with the incoming Hompa to really get to nominate and appoint proper Masimbis who will not create problems in the community. Because when you have wrong leaders, wrong advisors, you end up not making a proper decision. Now, based on all the facts and the procedure that I have illustrated to you, explained to you as a community, I was satisfied that the right candidate for this throne was Eugen Siwombe Kudumo. And therefore, my office had to approve that appointment in terms of the law. The other issue that I had to look at when I was approving this appointment was, why do we have so much disputes today, which we didn't have it before? It's either economically, people are looking for money, not for the service of the community. Or alternatively, the imperialists have penetrated the Namibian society to destabilize the peace that we enjoy in this country. Because when the colonizers came to Africa, the first institution they had to destabilize was the chieftainship of the royal family. If you destabilize a royal family, you destabilize a family, you destabilize the whole community. So therefore, as Namibians, we have a duty to guard against this unwanted and unnecessary infiltration in our communities. It's not helpful, because the moment we are going to have a country that is disturbed, because families and communities are not united, the easier for the colonizers to reclaim their position among us. So we should jealously guard our peace, our unity, and the stability that we enjoy in Namibia today. Allowing High Court to be involved in traditional matters is not only an uncalled for action, but something that must be thrown in and rejected by every peace-loving Namibian in this country. Because our chieftainship from time immemorial has never been guided by Roman Dutch law, but by our tradition and culture. There is a case of the Vetboy family, which I want to quote Judge Makarau, who said, the High Court, when dealing with a traditional and cultural matter, looks at the technical part, not as a substantive merit of the issue. The tradition looks at the merit and substantiveness of the issue and the argument. The court does not look at that. It looks at the technical part. Therefore, You may find people who believe today that if we follow our culture and tradition, that culture discriminates against other people. When particularly it says the inheritance in certain communities is from the paternal side, or it is from maternal side. Those that are not from that line, they feel discriminated. In this case, the Bakwangali are divided into two parts. There is Bakwangali from Mangondo across the Kavango River in Angola, where our able chief or Hompa May Kasamane comes from. And this is a line from which the Varanas Tekata come from. However, on the Namibian side, we have the Hemara royal family. Now, it was uncalled for a candidate from the Angolan side to come and contest the Namibian side. Especially after the said candidate went across the river and they contested for the chieftainship in Angola. After failing to secure the position, comes back to Namibia and contests for another position. And I said, such plays can be done after I've left this ministry. You can come and do anything, but when I'm still here, back off. I want to repeat, I was brought up through tradition. I'm well vested in African culture and tradition. So therefore, I will not sit and allow anybody to dismantle a well-established tradition and culture of a given community. We need to respect it. That point I'm raising here of contesting on both sides, I must say, Hompa May, when I interviewed him openly, is the one who actually resolved the dispute that we are. Today we are celebrating. Because some people were hiding the fact that they did not contest in Angola until he came and said, but you were contesting against me. So I want to pay my special respect to Hompa May for that decisive blow that he sent over to the dispute of the Ukwangali in Namibia. Director of Proceedings, as we celebrate the designation of the new Hompa for the Ukwangali community, I wish to take this occasion to highlight a few issues which the chief is supposed to be seized with. The first is that I want to draw the attention of the chief designate, you as followers, and by extension to other communities in the country, to the important role, duties, and functions of a chief and a traditional authority in terms of Act 25 of 2000, which is called the Traditional Authorities Act. These key duties and responsibility is to promote peace and welfare among the members of a given community, falling under its jurisdiction. The second is to observe the customary law by its community, to promote and preserve the culture, language, tradition. That is the duty of a chief. To preserve, I want to emphasize that. To preserve the culture, language, tradition, and the cultural values of a given community. Because the chief becomes the custodian of all these aspects as passed over from generation to generation. And we cannot, at this stage, Therefore, come and accept the situation where we have a new culture which is coming from courts. We cannot. These Western values that are being imposed on African values are a bit of a challenge that we as black people must start interrogating seriously. Let me take one of them. The Bible was introduced to us to this extent that as black people right now, we don't know what is our religion. Some are following Roman Catholic even if we are not Romans. Some are Dutch even if we are not Dutch. Some are whatever you may call it. And one paramount issue I would pick from this was that they said it was wrong for a man to marry 2 wives or 3. It was a sin to not go to heaven. And we followed it. We accepted it. Without knowing that was one method of reducing the number and the population. The same Europeans who brought the Bible to Africa and told us don't marry more than 1 wife. Today they are saying a man can marry another man and a woman can marry another woman, and we want to follow it. What religion is this? What religion is this? A good chief is like a forest. Everyone can go there and get something or harvest something. A forest has different fruits and vegetables. That's fit for every member of the community. End of quote. Therefore, as a leader, you are now in a position to lead those who rejected you. Those who opposed your accedance to the position, those who loved you, and those who pretended to love you, when deep inside they didn't love you. But as a leader, you have a duty to accommodate all of them. They are all your subjects. Treat them with the traditional justice and natural justice that they all deserve as your subjects. Because discrimination was not a part of our culture. If we keep united under you as a new chief, I'm sure that the Ukwangali people will enjoy the required development on both fronts of development. Therefore, lead your people like Moses led the people to the land of Canaan. Lead your people to the land of milk and honey. That's your duty. But along the way, they will insult you. They will betray you. Like Moses was betrayed. They rejected and started saying, you should have left us in Egypt where we were eating meat, at least even if we were suffered. Because they did not see what the leader was seeing. You have a duty, therefore, to protect everybody, to harness the unity, and to ensure that your community has got a proper relation with the rest of the communities in Namibia and in Kavango. That's a duty. You are not going to be an island as the Ukwangali. You belong to Namibia where there are various communities under various traditional leaders. And that's one thing that as Africans we must appreciate. We have democratic states in Africa. We are not a tribal state. Namibia is never a tribal state. But if you look at Britain, Europe today, when you talk of Portugal, it's for the Portuguese. When you talk of England, it's for the English. You talk of Germany, it's for the German. They have tribal states. We don't have tribal states in Africa. So let's preserve and demonstrate that we are better off than those who think we are not. After all, we must be proud to be black, because black is the original color of this world. Thank you very much.